Get down, living it up.
5 up to 0 to have a natural drawing. But when you do line art, for example, it could be nice to get a bit more. And if you go slowly around the shape, it will smooth just nicely. You can also manage the spacing here. So the space between the different type print of your brush. So here you can see little dots. And if I go to 10%, it's a complete line. You can also activate the color mix. So for now, if I draw with this color and I draw with another one like this, nothing happens. It just colors one over the other. But if I activate the color mix, when I draw with that color, I can mix them. I can mix the pixels. So basically, if I take a blue and a red, I can mix them and get a purple here. So you can play with that to create like painting effects and have little colors on mix to get the colors you want. And when you activate the color mix, you can activate the percentage. For example, here, color. For now, if I draw in red and I go through the purple, it will draw with that color until I leave the pencil and I go back. But if I activate the re-inject color, like this, I draw in red, I go to the purple, and now it's already red again. And if I put it way less, I draw an end, there will be a delay before it becomes red again. So you can paint with some gradient. It can be interesting to test it out. If I activate the red brush, it's basically like if I added water in my brush and I can make some kind of blurs, for example. I disable the wet brush because it will be too wet. I activate the keep paint. So when I draw, I can use the colors I want. If I go on the red and the purple, I use purple. But here I have also the re-inject color, so I can deactivate it and I can go and choose the colors like this. So basically I can have a character and a palette and just go in the palette and take the color. The dry parameter is not available in every brush. So with the dry, it will have this effect when you have less opacity. And without the dry, it will look like this. So when you don't have the dry option activated and you work with less opacity, when you don't leave the pencil, it will stay like the same opacity. And only when you go again on it, you will add different layers of color. But with the dry option activated, you can already in the same line put different layers of colors. So I will disable the color mix and the keep paint and talk about the pressure control size. I can deactivate it, so it will be like no pressure at all. And if I activate it, I have 0 to 100. So now if I press the less I can, it will be 1%, and the more I can, it will be 100%. But I can also say, okay, the minimum is 20 and the maximum is 80, and I can also tap to add the values. So now, even with a light pressure on the pencil, it will be 20%, and I can go up to 80. So you can see the difference here with the same pressure applied to the pencil. And I can do the same with the pressure controls opacity. So basically here with a light pressure, there is a big opacity. You can also manage the tip, not on that one because the brush, the pencil and the pencil HB doesn't have the same kind of tip. But if I go to another one like charcoal, I can click on the tip and see them. So basically here there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can import them from photo album files and you can put it to random or to linear. So linear, it will make this. Every tip will be applied one after the other. And if I put it to random, it will look much more natural. You can see here the difference. And you can also activate texture. So here, this is the texture. You can add one by clicking here and taking a file. That one, there is no texture yet. but you can add one if you want. And you can also reset everything, so you have the default settings. If you swipe left, you can also have a duplicate, so it will duplicate your actual brush, and you can also swipe and delete the brush. And just delete the one you created, the copy. And the one you created here with the plus. So I can click on the plus here to create a new tool with basic settings that I can manage as I wish. And I can double tap on the name to name it as I wish, for example, my brush. And I can see how it goes by testing it. Awesome. So you have to test out the different brushes, copy them, change the parameters to make it your own, and just have fun with it. Let's have a look at the different settings you have in the settings panel. In the general tab, you can left-handed, right-handed the interface. You can start counting frames at 0 like this, or at 1 if you wish, depending on your needs, your preferences, your production. You can set your backup time interval. By default, it is 30 minutes, but I can make it to like 20 if I want. The maximum number of backup kept, by default 5. I can go to 3 or anything else. It will, of course, put up more storage if you are like 12, because here it will create a new file every 20 minutes, up to 5 incrementation, and you can find them in your Files app. On my iPad, Callipeg Backup. But remember that automatically Callipeg is saving your work every 30 seconds, so you're not going to lose more than 30 seconds of work. In the Export tab, you have your export settings. So for now, it is 00. So I can make it longer, and I can duplicate my layers, put different timing, and even put some drawings in it. So now I can 28. I can see the shot size, Full HD, and the FPS, 24. Remember that you can change it here to export in 12 frames per second if you wish. You have two types, sequence, which is like several images, or image, if you want just one image of this current frame. If you export a sequence, you can export a Callipeg file, which is like a file you can import again and have everything, your layers, everything. You can export PNG with or without the background. So for now, it will make a sequence of 28 PNGs, one PNG exported for each frame. I can choose to export with the background. If I export with structure, it will export one folder for each layer. So basically here, 3 folders, and each folder will contain one PNG file for each frame of the layer. And if I export one image per sheet, it will export 3 folders. With one, it will export one folder for this one, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PNGs. And for that one, for example here, if I delete that, it will export one folder with 3 PNGs. You can also export to MP4, so basically a single video of your animation, and you can export it to GIF. So basically here I choose PNG, export, and I can export it, for example, to Callipeg, export successful. So I go to my Files app, on my iPad, Callipeg, and you can see my first animation, one folder for each layer, containing one PNG for each drawing. You are now familiar with the Onion Skin tab. In the Canvas tab, you can change the background color by clicking on the color here. You can change basically to any color you want with a history of the previous colors you have chosen. You can also change the sheet color, here white by default. It is not a layer, it is just a background. So basically everything you draw in Callipeg is on transparent background. I just choose this. And when I want to export, I will put background. You can also activate the magnetic rotation here, 45 degrees by default. So here you can see if I go to like 88, it snaps to 90. And if I put that to 10 degrees, it will snap automatically here. So it can be pretty useful. I can also allow the finger drawing. For now, the finger is only to fill, but if I want, I click here, and now I can draw with the fingers. And I think it's basically color mixing. Yes. So with the finger, you don't have the pressure like you have on the stylus, but it will allow you to sketch things roughly or just use another pencil, because for now it's only compatible with the Apple Pencil. In the flip, you have the flip sensitivity, invert flip. So for now, when I flip, I go up to go further in the timeline. And if I allow it, I go up, and I can decide to flip frames or flip sheets. For now, I flip frames. So to go from there to there, I have to flip 5 or 6 frames. And if I go to flip sheets, I can flip from this to this with one single move. You can see here how fast it is, because I just go from here to here with that single move. And in the timeline tab, you have the timeline metric it does now. And now to finish this guide, we are going to go back to the studio by tapping on that icon. I have 2 shots here with the names and the definition at the bottom. And I can swipe left to have different options. So I can rename it. I can also rename my shot by double tapping on the name. I can duplicate my shot. It will make a copy with the same name and a number. I can also export my file as a Callipeg file. If needed, I can click on that icon to repair or decorrupt my shot. For example, if you have frame display issue like corruption, you can click on here and it will try to decorrupt your files and put the pixels together. And if not, you can email us to contact@enoben.com and tell us more about what's happening. And you can also swipe and delete a project. I can also press long on a shot, red square appears, and I can swipe over another shot, leave the finger, create a new scene, so scene 1, and it will create a group, a scene, containing my 2 shots. And if needed, I can also duplicate this one and create a new scene into my scene, like scene 1.1. I can swipe on the scene to rename it, to duplicate it, to split my scene. So for example, here I can split it and it will delete the scene and make my 2 shots into my current folder. And if I want, I can also click on that and drag it to scene 1. It will disappear from here and get here. So that's how you can manage and organize your shots, your scenes into your studio. And if you want, you can also click on import, photo album animation, and it made a shot with that image as the first frame in the first layer. And that shot has the same pixel definition as that picture. So if I go to the studio, I can see the definition here under the name, very strange Photos app name. I can import pictures from other apps if I want to. So if I go to the second frame, I open the photo app in split view. I choose the picture I want and I just drag it up to Callipeg. And it will import my picture here. I can validate. And now that picture from photos is in my shot. And last, I can also import from files, select one of my PEG files and import it directly into my studio. And now I can access to my entire file and work on it as I wish. If you still have questions, feel free to share them in the comments and I will do my best.
Churro. Let me try. Churro. You got like 800 horsepower of cinnamon, sugar, and caramel. You got I feel like I'm
action toothpaste with a low abrasion formula. It builds a protective layer over sensitive areas and targets and removes plaque. Dual action, one specialist toothpaste.
The transformation layer allows you to keyframe a transformation of a drawing, an animation, or a video. That way you can move drawings or animations very quickly with a system of keyframes and curves. When you tap on this icon, you create a transformation layer which is directly linked to the past current layer. That way you can move drawings or animations very quickly with a system of keyframes and curves. Icon, you create a transformation layer which is directly linked to the past current layer. Here I have 3 drawing layers, and if I select the 3 layers and I tap on the transformation icon, the transformation layer will be linked to the 3 drawing layers. When a layer is linked to a transformation layer, you can see it with a diamond icon right next to the icon of the layer. If you want to unlink the layers from a transformation layer, simply select them and the transformation layer icon is 0. It means that there is 0 layers in it. And if I want to put them back, I simply select the layers and drag them into it. When a transformation layer is active, you cannot draw on the drawing layer. To be able to edit your drawing layers, you will need to disable the transformation layer on your drawing layers. Simply enable it by tapping on the eye icon. The transformation layer uses the same system as the transformation tool, which means that you have a transformation box here which you can move around to transform your drawings. If you hold one finger down, you will be able to snap the transformation box to guidelines. When you transform, holding one finger down allows you to keep the ratio of the transformation box. By transforming, I created a left side. I can see the transformation values of the keyframes. When there is a diamond icon, it means there is a keyframe. So I have keyframes for position and scale. And for now, I can only see the scale X and Y in the curves. And to display other curves, I simply have to tap on the eyes next to the value I want to display. I can see an snap. The transformation layer uses the same system as when you transform. Holding one finger down allows you to keep the ratio of the transformation box. By transforming frames, which I can access with the curve mode. On the left side, I can see the transformation values of the keyframes. When there is a diamond icon, it means there is a keyframe. Transforming, I created animation keyframes, which I can access with the curve mode. On the left side, I can see the transformation values of the keyframes. When there is a diamond icon, it means there is a keyframe. So I have keyframes for position and scale. And for now, I can only see the scale X and Y in the curves. And to display other curves, I simply have to tap on the eyes next to the value I want to display. I can see that for the rotation, there is no diamond icon. That means there is no keyframe. For the moment, I don't have anything animated, because for an animation to occur, I need to have keyframes on at least 2 different frames. So if I go to the end here and I move my ball down here, I get a movement. In here, I can see where the sheets of my layers are. To select a keyframe, tap on the icon, which displays an action panel on top of the timeline. If you want to select more than one view I want to display, I can see that for the rotation, there is no diamond icon. That means there is no keyframe. For the moment, I don't have anything animated, because for an animation to occur, I need to have keyframes on at least 2 different frames. So if I go to the end here and I move my ball. I don't have anything animated because for an animation to occur, I need to have keyframes on at least 2 different frames. So if I go to the end here and I move my ball down here, I get a movement. In here, I can see where the sheets of my layers are. To select a keyframe, tap on the icon, which displays an action panel on top of the timeline. I need to have keyframes on at least 2 different frames. So if I go to the end here and I move my ball down here, I get a move. In here, I can see where the sheets of my layers are. To select a keyframe, tap on the icon, which displays an action panel on top of the timeline. If you want to select more than one keyframe, double tap and drag, and all the keyframes contained in the rectangle will be selected. If you want to move your keyframes, you can drag them around like this, but it will also change the values. If you want to move them only horizontally, so hold 2 fingers and it will only move horizontally. You can also move them when the curves are closed, like this. To copy-paste a keyframe, select the keyframe, copy, go to the frame where you want to paste it, and paste. So here, if I want to get the ball smaller, I just hold 1 finger here and it should change it for the whole animation. Because I only have 1 keyframe here, it will not animate. I can even delete the keyframe. It will keep the scale value in order to reset the value. I simply tap on the reset icon here. So now I want to create and is out. To do so, I select all the keyframes And then I choose a tangent value. So here it eases into the movement, slows down, and slowly goes up like this. Here, and it should change it for the whole animation. Because I only have one keyframe here, I can even delete the keyframe. It will keep the scale icon here. So now I want to create ease-ins and ease-outs. To do so, I select all the keyframes, and then I choose a tangent value. So here it eases into the movement, slows down, and slowly create ease-ins and ease-outs. To do so, I select all the keyframes, and then I choose a tangent value. Here it eases into the movement, slows down, and slowly goes up like this. The tangents. So here I can grab the tangent I want to change. If I only want to change the one on the left, I put my finger down, this one. Let's make a movement like this, and you can try different values of tangents. So this one is linear tangent, so I won't have any tangent to move. This one is a low one, this is medium, and this is strong. I will just stick with the medium. And here I will just raise it up a little bit, like this. And I'll simply remove the position X, which created a new keyframe here, as I'm not moving the position horizontally, but only vertically. So now I want to change the size of the ball and create a squash and stretch. To do so, I will be going